All right, good morning, everybody. It doesn't look like everybody's quite on the call yet, but we're going to get started anyway. So again, thank you all for coming this morning for our next installment of Tune Up Tuesday. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to start to move into unilateral movement. All right, what that means is that we are going to be using one side versus another, all right, independently versus together, all right? So the last 3 weeks, we've been working on bilateral movements, both legs or both arms at the same time. Today, we're going to be moving into unilateral movements. And so I've got some equipment that we're going to be using here today, handled band, all right? We've got handled bands, all right? I got somebody joining the room, 1 second. All right. Oh, one more thing. All right. So like I was saying, we're moving into unilateral movements. Today, we're going to be using bands with handles as well as the mini band for our warm up. And the last thing you will need today is some type of box or step. All right. It can be anywhere from 4 to, a foot, 4 inches to about 1.5 feet. All right. And so it doesn't need to be any particular height. However, you will need to have a little bit of variation as you progress and get stronger. So what we're going to do, we're going to start out today with the mini bands. All right, we've already done some of these movements before, and so these are just reiterating some of the warm-ups that are good for us to do to get the hips warmed up, to get the shoulder girdle warmed up, as well as the arms. So put that band around your knees, just above them, please. All right, so band just above the knees. All right, so what we're going to be starting with today is we're going to be starting with our lateral walks. All right, so we're going to get down into a athletic position. Okay, we're sitting that butt back. Okay, a little bit of bend in the knees, and we're going to do a side to side step. So we squat down into that position. Okay, we take a step out. Notice where the knees are. Right, they're not collapsing in. And then back to that neutral position. Then we go the other direction, and we're going to repeat. So that's 1. We're going to go 10 total, all right? So side step, and notice how I'm purposefully pausing at each point, so that way I own the movement, all right? And that way I know I'm doing it with proper control, I'm doing it with proper form, and making sure that I have the correct muscles activating, which should be the sides of those glutes. All right, we're at 7. We got 3 more. All right, last one coming up. There and back. Very good. Okay. Now that we've gone lateral, we're going to go linear. Okay, we did this one a couple weeks ago. We're going to put that band down around the ankles next, okay? And so now we're going to go forward step and backward step. We're going to do 10 with each leg leading, all right? So we're going to start with the right leg moving forwards and backwards to lead us in this dance. 1 second, I got somebody joining us. All right, perfect. So like I said, band down at the ankles. We're going to go with our forwards and backwards walk. So it's 1 step forward, 1 step forward, 1 step backwards, 1 step backwards. Make sure you keep some tension on that band. Don't make sure that it's not cinching together on you. All right, so let's continue that. Right foot leading in our step and dance. Ready? Forwards, forwards, backwards, backwards. All right, keep that tension and that little bit of rhythm with that little bit of arm swing, okay? That's going to help us transition this to more sport-specific movement. All right, that's 7. We got 3 more with this foot leading forward. Very nice. All right, so that's 10. Now we're going to switch it up. So left foot's now going to lead us forward in our song and dance case. Forwards, forwards, backwards, backwards. That's 1. We got 10 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, halfway. 6, 7, Last one coming up. And good, relax. Okay, again, we should feel that in the glutes, the lateral portion of the hips, the sides of the hips. Go ahead, take that band off. Put that band around your forearms. All right, got one more person entering the room here. All right. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. That's only me today. If I had somebody behind the camera, I would have them click all the buttons, but I don't have anybody. So we're going to put that band around the forearms just below the elbows, okay? So we've already done these before, our mini band pull aparts, and so we want to make sure hands are palms facing each other, parallel, arms or slight external rotation. What we don't want is those fingertips to come together, all right? And so what we're going to be doing, we're going to pull that band down and across the chest, show those palms forward and come back. All right, we're doing 10 of these. Breathe out as you pull. Breathe in as you come back. You should feel this in the shoulders. You should feel this in the upper back. You should feel this in the rotator cuffs. All right, really good for that upper postural activation. Really good to strengthen the rotator cuff, strengthen those muscles that take a beating during swimming, okay, when you're down in arrow position. That's 7. 3 more. Last 2. And 1 more. Got 1 more person in. All right. Perfect. Okay, so that was our work with the mini band. We're going to put that aside. Like I said, everybody should have a little step today. So find something in your house, a little step. I've got my box here today. All right, and so I've got my box, okay, a step stool, a stair at your house, okay, anything like that is going to work. We're going to be, like I said, transitioning into unilateral movements today, which just means you're going to use one leg and then the other, okay, not together. All right, we're doing what's called a step down here. The step down is really good for eccentric control, all right? It's really good for strengthening your glutes, okay, your quads, as well as the muscles that stabilize your pelvis when you're running, all right? And so we're actually going to start at the top end of this movement. So we start at the top end of the movement, all right? You can stop with both feet up top, all right, in this movement. So there's 3 different variations I'm going to have everybody play around with for their ability level, okay? The first one is you're going to step down. You're going to fully weight on the ground and then come back up. And weight as in E-I-G-H-T, not A-I-T, all right? The second option is you're going to come down and you're going to tap your toes on the ground. And the third option is this is the most difficult option. You're going to come down and you're going to tap your heel down on the ground, okay? So now 2 things of note. This knee position, okay? What most people are going to do is they're going to have that knee come inwards like this, all right? We don't want that, all right? That is going to cause lots of knee pain. That's the exact default that we're trying to avoid. So if you can do this with a visual or a mirror, that would be great. The other thing is when we're doing this, and as far as that knee, it kicking really far forward, kind of like this, right? Maybe not also the best either. So I want you to imagine like you're sitting back into that chair. I've thrown my arms out to help me stabilize that. We're going to do 8 on each side. All right. We're going to do 2 rounds of this. You're going to breathe in on the way down. You're going to breathe out on the way up. All right. So here we go. Choose your option and let's get to it. All right. We breathe in on the way down. Tap or weight yourself. Back up. Squeeze the glutes at the top. All right. Make sure you finish that movement. Control. All right. Own that movement. Squeeze the glutes at the top. Control the movement. If you are doing a tapping variation, you want to imagine like you're stepping onto a pond of thin ice. If you put too much pressure down on that foot, you're going to break through that ice. That foot's going to get soaking wet. All right. Again, breathing in on the way down, breathing out on the way up. Squeeze the glute. Feel that glute and quad working. All right. We got 1 last rep here. Very good. Okay. So Switch sides, all right? You can either turn around on your step. If you do have a box like this, you can just shuffle over to the other side, and we're gonna do the same thing, okay? All right, breathing in on the way down. Tap that heel, breathing out on the way up, and repeat. Again, choosing your variation, whether that's the weighting that foot down, the heel tap, or the toe tap, doesn't matter. Find the one that you can control and works for you. Absolutely, Kirsten. Super great one. Okay. Help stabilize the pelvis while you are in single stance while running. Okay. Helps control the knee. All right. So if you've ever seen pictures, we got 2 more reps here where you're running and maybe that knee is coming inwards, called a valgus fault. The muscle that actually controls that position is in your butt, all right? So the muscle that controls this position is actually way up here in the hip, all right? So if you put your hand up there and you kind of move your knee side to side like this, you'll feel your butt squeezing. And that's the muscle that we're working on here, okay? We're gonna switch sides, all right? We're gonna go back, we're gonna repeat, all right? If that was too easy for you and you don't have an ability to get a higher step, okay, either progress to the next option, which is the toe tap or the heel tap. If you're already at one of those options, grab a weight, all right? If you do have a weight handy, okay, I like to hold it in goblet style. It forces your core to work a little bit more aggressively. You can do it in suitcase style. Nothing wrong with that, all right? But pick a variation that works for you, all right? 8 reps here. Here we go. Again, focus on the control. Squeeze the glute, full range of motion. Tap that heel down, tap that toe down. Squeeze the glute at the top. Breathe in on the way down. Breathe out on the way up. All right, that's 2. If you are noticing that one side is more difficult than the other, when you do unilateral work, you should always start with that more difficult side. All right, so for example, I'm starting with my left. My left is generally speaking a little bit more difficult. Go ahead, switch sides, that was 8. And so what that does is ensures that you don't do more with your stronger side than you are able to with your weaker side. All right, because if you have a strength issue and you continue to do the stronger side first, well, then it's always able to do more because you aren't regulating it to what your weaker side can manage. So like, let's say if you could do 1-arm push-ups, right? Let's use that as an example. If you could, and you could do 8 on the left, but you could only do 5 on the right. Very good, relax. Well, you wouldn't want to continue to do 8 on the left and then 5 on the right. You just keep getting more and more apart. No. So that's a good question there, Kirsten. You don't want to do more reps on the weaker side. And the reason being is that you have only a certain capacity that can actually lead to some injury. And so you want to, the way I explain it is, if this is your discrepancy, right? Well, you want to raise the floor of that weaker side till it's even. Then you strengthen them together. This is kind of the corrective side of things, right? Because if you just start, doing more reps, right? Well, even if it is, it can handle it initially, there's a reason it's weaker, right? It's not doing as much work typically. So then you're overloading it and then you end up with other problems. So strengthen them together. So do the same amount of reps, the same amount of weight until they are equally as easy or your testing numbers show that they are even, and then progress from there, all right? So we're gonna move on to our next movement. Put your box, your step, your weight away and grab the handled band, all right? So grab that handled band, and what I want you to do is find a place to hook it up, all right? And so I'm gonna hook it up to the machine today. If you don't have something, like the machine here, obviously, there's 2 ways that you can do this, okay? You can either A, hook it to the foot of like your couch or your bed. All right, that's an option. So that way you hook it down nice and low. Just make sure you have both handles available. All right, the other option is you can tie a knot in your band. What I mean by that is make a loop in it, pull the handle through, and create a knot. Okay, once you have that knot, you can actually just put the knot on the other side of the door, shut the door, and then the door will hold it in place. Okay, those are all options. All right, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna throw that band around. All right, if you are doing an option where you hook it up low on your couch or bed or whatever, I want you to be in this half kneeling position. Okay, so it'll be the same movement. You're just going to do it half kneeling versus standing. Okay, but what we're doing here, all right, so we've got our band set up. We're going to be in a split stance here. This is our one bilateral movement today. And what we're going to be doing here, we're going to allow the shoulders to disassociate, relax. So notice how my shoulders come forward and round. We're going to pull the shoulders back, engage the posture, pull the hands to the lower portion of the ribs. All right, we don't want them up in the armpits, down in the low portion of the ribs. So again, notice how that creates this 90 degrees with my arm. All right, we're breathing out as we pull. We're breathing in as we return. We're doing sets of 10 here. All right, you should feel this in your mid and upper back as well as your lats. All right, here we go. Set of 10. Breathe out as you pull. Breathing in as you return. Relax the shoulders at the front end. Reach those hands out in front and repeat. Good. 3. So you'll notice as we've gone through the weeks, we've done very little pushing as it relates to the upper body. We've also done very little pushing as it relates to strictly quad work in the legs. We got 2 more reps. The reason being is that, good, and relax. The reason being for that, we are always moving forwards, all right? Everything forwards is always on. How often do we just go backwards? Almost never, right? We run forward, we swim forward, we bike forward, all right? That's what makes sense. That's how we see the world. And so that all of these muscles, the chest, the biceps, the quads, they're always overactive, right? They're always too tight. So we have to strengthen the other end. And so general rule of thumb, 2 to 3 parts backside to 1 part front side. So if you're at the gym and you do a set of push-ups, you should try and do 2 to 3 sets of backside movement to kind of counteract that. That helps with the posture, helps with the muscles that we don't tend to see every day, right? These are called your mirror muscles, okay? They're the muscles you see when you look at yourself in the mirror, all right? Work on those other muscles, all right? Let's do round number 2. Grab those handles again, okay? If it was too easy, back it up, okay? That'll make it more difficult. All right, here we go. Relax those shoulders and begin. Both breathe out as you pull. Down, hands towards the bottom end of the ribs and return. Good. Set of 10 here. Again, you should feel that in the upper back, in the lats below the armpits. All right, working on those postural muscles here. All right. So in this particular position, we got 2 more reps. It's not particularly important that you switch your feet, as in whichever foot is forwards or backwards. It's not particularly important. If you are somebody who needs to feel like they are completely even, feel free to switch that foot, okay? Whatever's comfortable is generally totally fine, all right? And so we're going to move on to our final movement today, which we're going to grab either a mat or you can do it on your carpet. We're doing side planks, all right? But we're going to do it very similarly to what we did with the step down, and we're going to add a lift component to it. So that way, A, you don't get overly fatigued, and B, we continue to strengthen that muscle in a way that is very similar to how your body absorbs contact when you are running. So you want to grab that mat or have your mat set up. All right. So I've got my mat here. So I'm going to start out again with my weaker side. So whatever side you found to be a little bit harder on the step down, start on that side. Okay. So you've got two options. All right. Option one is a full range. Okay. So you're going foot to elbow. Okay. The second option is you can go on knees if it's a little too difficult with the full range. Okay. But we're going to use the top hand as a support. Okay. Because we want to put everything in the oblique and the glute. Okay. So we're going to squeeze the glutes. We're going to squeeze the core, and then we're going to squeeze the quads. We're going to breathe out as we lift that hip off the ground, and we're going to breathe in as we return that hip to the ground, okay? If you fully put your weight down, a little easier. If you just tap, harder, okay? We're going to do 8 per side again, all right? And so breathing out as we lift and breathing in as we return. Here we go. Ready? Control it on the way down and repeat. All right? Push through the shoulders as well. Push down through the hand and the elbow. That's going to, again, help strengthen some of those postural muscles in the rib cage that support your shoulder blade. All right. Again, you want to feel that right between your ribs and your pelvis. One more rep. All right. In the oblique, we want to feel that in the oblique down into the glute, okay? Switch sides. You can either turn around, flip over, doesn't matter. Find your option. Here we go. All right, breathing in to start, breathing out as you lift. Set of 8 here. Halfway. 2 more. Very good. All right, go ahead. Take a small break. So there are 3 main things that people struggle with on that particular movement as it relates to positioning, okay? So I'm going to explain them partially in this direction. So the first 2 are actually the same. Their hips are either too far backwards or too far forwards, okay? And so what that might look like is when you come up, rather than being a completely straight line, you either lean forwards or you sag backwards, okay? Both are not good, okay? One, you'll feel more tension in your back. The other, you'll feel more tension on your quads and your hip flexors, okay? The other one, all right, is that they, when they lift, they either don't lift high enough or they overdo it, right? Both, again, not good because you're putting it into different places, either the shoulders or you're not getting the correct activation. And then the last one, again, is when you're in that sideways position and you set up like this and you lift here with this L in your body, okay? So what I like to say is 3 straight lines, all right? The straight line in front of you, the straight line below you, and the straight line, again, forwards, backwards, vertically through you, okay? So let's go ahead and do our second set here, all right? Our final set today, and then we'll talk about some mobility. All right, here we go. Breathing out as we lift, breathing in to start. Sets of 8 here. Again, find the option that works for you. Tap or weight, feet or knees, doesn't matter. It's got to work for you. 1 more rep. Very good. Go ahead. Switch sides. All right. Here we go. Last one here, set of 8. Breathe in to start. Halfway. 1 more rep. And relax. Very good. All right. So we are going to stay down on the floor today for this next movement, the mobility movement today, all right? So one thing that almost always comes up with triathletes because of the biking time primarily, but also the running and the hip stability that we talked about today is lower back tension, okay? That sort of like, oh man, my right lower back or my left lower back, right above the pelvis, right below the ribs, kind of right where your kidneys would be. That is a super common tight spot, okay? It's called your QL or your psoas. We're going to work on the QL today, all right? So what we're going to do you're going to get into a half kneeling position here, all right? Pick either side, all right? We're going to stretch whichever one's on the lower side today, all right? So whichever knee is down, put that arm up overhead, all right? You're going to take the other hand, grab the wrist, and we're going to lean over as we do this, okay? We're going to hold that position. Now, where you should feel this stretch through the lower back, through the hip and the hip flexor, and up into the lat, okay? This whole lateral line is what we should feel in that stretch, okay? We're going to hold for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then you're going to allow it to relax, and then you're going to repeat again. All right, and so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to do 5 times on each side. All right, and again, you might notice that one side is particularly tight compared to the other. Very normal, all right? But, right, like everything, things are not always simple. And so just because that side is tight doesn't necessarily mean it is your problem, right? Our problems, our symptoms show up in very interesting ways because our body just adapts, right? Our bodies are perfect adaptation machines, all right? Go ahead and switch sides almost to a fault, right? It gets us into trouble sometimes. So we got to figure out where those problems truly come from by assessing, all right? And so if you've never done a strength assessment, if you've never done a mobility assessment to figure out why your aches and pains might be what they are, or where those are coming from, or maybe why you can't, do some particular types of movements, right? Come in, get assessed, all right? The videos, in these movement series are helpful, obviously. They get you started. They give you different ideas, right? There's probably a lot that we talk about on these Tuesdays that you've maybe never heard before as it relates to training, okay? Some ideas are maybe owning the movement, making sure that you are in the correct positions, right? Quality over quantity in specific ways, all right? All of those are extremely important. And so if we're not paying attention to those, that's right. I see Kirsten tomorrow. And so Kirsten's coming in to do her assessment, right? And so what we do is we go through an hour, we check your mobility, right? We see why certain things are moving the way that they are, or why we struggle with other particular positions. And then we build a plan from there. We give you specific homework assignments as it relates to mobility, stretching, and rolling, as well as strengthening those areas. And so come on in, get assessed, right? Figure out, how you can kind of take your, not only your training to the next level, but also stay happy and healthy. So that way you don't have to worry about certain things as you go through your day to day. So come on in, get assessed. Everybody should have our contact information. I post it on the videos every single week. And so hopefully I've seen a lot of people viewing them. I've seen some views on the video. So thank you. Keep telling people to come on in, join us for these Tuesdays. If you're getting something out of it, bring a friend, allow them to, get what you got out of it. So again, thank you all for coming to this version of Tune Up Tuesday. Again, to recap, we focused on unilateral movement, side to side movement versus bilateral movement, or things working together. That's how we get more sport specific, because we're unilateral athletes, right? We don't hop forward, we run forward, right? We don't butterfly, right? We do freestyle as we swim, okay? So again, thank you all for coming today. I'll see you all next week, and have a good one. Bye-bye.